Have you ever wondered if the love you receive is genuine? In the silence between an unanswered message and a forgotten gesture, there are signs that speak louder than 1,000 words. True love isn't shaped by empty promises, but by actions that stem from the unconscious and manifest in reality. Carl Jung believed that what we project onto others reveals what we have yet to recognize in ourselves. And when it comes to genuine love, these projections are challenged, exposed, and integrated. In this video, we're going to dive into the deepest aspects of authentic love through the lens of Jungian psychology. You will understand what someone does or fails to do when they truly love, and why that is so revealing. If you believe that true love shows itself in the subtlest actions, leave a comment saying, "True love is recognized in the invisible." To grasp what someone does when they truly love, we need to look beyond words and obvious behaviors. According to Carl Jung, true love is a phenomenon that arises from psychic integration, a meeting of souls that goes far beyond mere attraction or need. This is where concepts like projection, the shadow, anima and animus, and especially individuation come into play. When we project onto another the image of the ideal partner, we aren't really loving them. We are loving the part of ourselves we haven't yet acknowledged. This idealization is what Jung called the projection of the anima in men and the animus in women, unconscious representations of our inner femininity and masculinity. In genuine love, these projections begin to dissolve. The other person stops being an enchanted mirror and becomes a real being complete with light and shadow. And it is precisely at that point that true love begins. Through the process of individuation, every person moves closer to their full psychic wholeness. And by doing so, they become capable of loving more authentically, not by seeking in the other what they lack, but by sharing what they can offer. Real love shows itself in actions that stem from a conscious place, where there is respect, presence, and a commitment to mutual growth. When someone truly loves you, they don't act purely on emotion. They act with awareness. They integrate the impulse of the heart with the responsibility of the soul. And that, according to Jung, is the true miracle of human connection. When someone loves deeply, that love inevitably confronts them with their own shadow. Carl Jung defined the shadow as the part of the unconscious that holds everything the ego refuses to acknowledge: fears, traumas, repressed impulses, and weaknesses. In the context of a deep emotional relationship, this shadow can easily project onto the partner, creating conflicts, judgments, and rejections that reveal more about the projector than the one receiving the projection. Loving truly isn't about idealizing the other or expecting perfection. It means accepting that the relationship will touch upon our deepest wounds and still choosing to stay, to face them, and to grow. When someone really loves you, they don't run at the first sign of emotional discomfort. On the contrary, they understand that love resides in confronting what scares us the most, the unknown within ourselves. Staying beside someone while facing your own shadow requires courage. The ego wants to stay in control, to avoid pain, to blame the other. But true love demands surrender, a sincere willingness to look within, recognize your own shortcomings, and above all, transform yourself. This transformation does not happen overnight. It is a continuous process, made up of small acts of humility, attentive listening, and re-evaluating one's behavior. Many relationships fall apart, not from a lack of love, but from a lack of willingness to dive into this inner journey. The other becomes an uncomfortable mirror, and instead of looking within, we choose to walk away, seeking a more comfortable reflection. However, when love is real, that impulse to flee is replaced by an impulse to understand. Pain is no longer seen as an enemy, but as part of the journey. True love isn't proven only in happy moments, but primarily in the willingness to stay when the shadow emerges. It isn't about accepting abuse or losing oneself, but about acknowledging that we all have hidden parts, and that it is only possible to truly love someone when we accept that we too have aspects that need healing. The person who truly loves you doesn't seek perfection in you. They know that you, like them, are a work in progress. For that reason, they commit to that process. When jealousy, insecurity, anger, or silence arise, this person does not place all the blame on you. They ask, "What does this say about me?" That simple question is revolutionary. It marks the beginning of self-knowledge and emotional accountability, essential elements for a deep, conscious love. Facing your shadow also means leaving behind the masks and roles you created to please or protect yourself. In authentic love, there's no room for games or manipulation. Truth, even when uncomfortable, is preferred to a comforting illusion. And that commitment to truth is what allows the construction of something lasting. Jung used to say, "No one illuminates by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." To love truly is exactly that, to bring the darkness within you into awareness, and even so, continue to choose the other, not in spite of it, but alongside it. Love is not the absence of shadow. It is the choice to walk with it, turning it into a bridge rather than a barrier. Those who truly love you aren't frightened by your difficult moments, because they have had the courage to confront their own. And in that mutual reflection, a bond is born that does not depend on perfection but on depth. The person who truly loves you does whatever it takes to avoid running away from themselves, because they know that only in this way can they truly stay with you. At the beginning of a relationship, it is common to see the other person with enchanted eyes. Passion lights up an idealized image, often far from reality. Carl Jung described this phenomenon as projection, the act of casting our unconscious contents, desires, fears, expectations, and archetypal images we do not recognize in ourselves, onto another. Thus, when we fall in love, we often fail to see the whole person. We see only what we need to see at that moment. But true love begins when these projections fade away. At that point, many walk away, disappointed to find that the other person was not who they imagined. However, those who love sincerely do something different. They choose to see the other as they truly are, beyond the ideal, beyond the reflection of their own unconscious. And it is that choice that transforms the bond into something real. Dissolving projections is a painful yet liberating process. It demands that a person looks at themselves honestly and admits, "What I saw in the other was actually a part of me that I still don't understand." This movement requires emotional maturity, for the ego tends to resist. It wants to keep control of the narrative and protect its self-image. But when true love is present, the desire to truly know the other's essence surpasses the need to cling to the illusion. Seeing the other as they are means recognizing their humanity, their contradictions, doubts, and pain, and not merely accepting it, but embracing it, without trying to change, correct, or mold them into an idealized image. This acceptance is one of the greatest expressions of conscious love. Someone who truly loves you doesn't try to fit you into a mold. They see you as you are and, even so, choose to stay. This kind of love is not blind. On the contrary, it is profoundly lucid. The clarity that emerges after the breaking of projection is what allows for an authentic relationship. There's no more game of unrealistic expectations or constant disappointment from not receiving what was imagined. Instead, there is presence, there is attentive listening, there is a genuine willingness to know the other and to let oneself be known. In Jungian language, this movement represents a step forward in the process of individuation. As we project less, we become more whole, and the more whole we are, the more capable we become of loving without demanding that the other fill our emptiness. True love is born when the illusion gives way to encounter, a meeting between two beings fully aware of their lights and shadows, ready to walk side by side. Those who truly love you do not turn you into a character from an inner fantasy. They recognize that you are not here to heal wounds they themselves refuse to face, nor do they expect you to perform according to some invisible script based on their unconscious needs. They allow you to simply be, with your truths, your boundaries, and your uniqueness. Dismantling projection is an act of surrender and respect. When someone chooses to see you for who you truly are, it's as if they say, "I don't need you to be perfect. I want to be with the real you." That kind of look heals, because it carries freedom, and where there is freedom, love can flourish without fear. And of course, this process is mutual. As one person dissolves their projections, you are also invited to review your own. The relationship becomes a fertile ground for self-reflection, where both individuals grow not only as a couple, but as individuals. And that is what distinguishes unconscious love from mature love, the willingness to see and be seen honestly, day after day. Those who truly love you don't settle for an image. They want to know your soul, and more than that, they want to be known as well. Because true love is above all a pact with reality, and that reality, no matter how imperfect, is where the deepest beauty of human encounter resides. In Carl Jung's view, true love is not merely a feeling. It is a profound psychic process, a journey of self-knowledge and transformation. He saw relationships as sacred spaces where the self, the totality of one's psyche, finds fertile ground to develop. To love someone, therefore, is much more than to desire or admire. It is to be willing to grow together and to allow the other to grow as well. When someone truly loves you, they do not try to imprison you in a role or prevent you from evolving. They honor the relationship as a path of individuation, a quest to become who you truly are. Individuation is the process by which an individual integrates the conscious and unconscious aspects of their psyche, evolving toward a more authentic and complete identity. In a conscious relationship, each person understands that the other is not there to complete what they lack, but to walk alongside them, as both internally complement each other. This understanding completely transforms the dynamics of love. It ceases to be about neediness and becomes a true encounter. When someone truly loves you, they recognize that the relationship should foster growth for both. It isn't about maintaining the status quo or demanding sacrifices that nullify one side. It's about creating an environment where both can flourish. This requires attentive listening, presence, and a generous dose of humility, accepting that the other will change, and that you too will change, and that this change is not a threat but a sign of life. In a relationship based on individuation, crises are not seen as failures, but as opportunities. Conflict is no longer something to be avoided at all costs. It becomes a call for deeper understanding. When disagreements arise, the question isn't who's right, but rather, what is this revealing about us? Such an attitude reveals emotional maturity and a commitment to something greater than merely maintaining superficial harmony. Honoring love as a path of individuation also means recognizing the other's alterity. You don't project onto them the obligation of being your constant mirror or your sole source of happiness. You see them as a unique individual with their own desires, fears, and dreams, and you choose to respect that uniqueness. When that happens, the relationship ceases to be a merger and transforms into a partnership. There is space for dialogue, for autonomy, for the joint creation of meanings. Jung saw the self as the regulatory center of the psyche, an instance that constantly seeks equilibrium between opposites. A true relationship helps access this center. That's because real love brings everything that is still disintegrated face to face, our insecurities, our resistances, our hidden potentials. And in that constant mirroring, if we are brave enough to look, we discover much more about who we are than we ever could alone. Those who truly love you aren't afraid of your growth. They understand that love is not a contract of stagnation, but an alliance of evolution. They support you when you change, encourage you when you grow, and confront you when you lose sight of yourself. This kind of presence is rare because it requires a level of awareness that goes beyond the desire to control or possess. But when it exists, it is transformative. Mutual growth is the greatest indicator of a healthy, genuine relationship. It isn't about never making mistakes, but about being willing to learn from each one. It isn't about always agreeing, but about knowing how to disagree respectfully. And above all, it's about maintaining a commitment to your own truth, even when that truth challenges your comfort zone. When someone truly loves you, that love doesn't paralyze, it propels. It makes you want to become a better version of yourself, not out of obligation or fear of loss, but because love inspires you to be more of who you truly are. And when two people walk together like this, side by side, committed to their individuation, love ceases to be a fleeting emotion and becomes a process of profound fulfillment where meeting the other is also a reunion with oneself. One of the most profound and revolutionary concepts in Carl Jung's analytical psychology is the presence of the animus and anima within each of us. The animus represents the masculine aspects present in the female psyche, while the anima symbolizes the feminine aspects in the male psyche. These archetypes have nothing to do with biological gender, but rather with complementary psychic energies, action and receptivity, reason and intuition, strength and sensitivity. For Jung, emotional maturity and the ability to love consciously require the integration and balance of these internal forces. When someone truly loves you, their love does not emerge from a fragmented or needy place. It comes from a more balanced inner center, where the inner masculine and feminine have been recognized, embraced, and harmonized. That person does not look to the other for what they lack, but relates from a sense of psychic wholeness. And that makes all the difference in how they give themselves, listen, care, and remain. Integrating these polarities ensures that love is not marked by rigid roles, fixed expectations, or emotional dependencies. A person who has balanced their inner feminine is able to embrace, listen, and feel deeply. At the same time, someone who has integrated their inner masculine possesses firmness, direction, and the ability to act with clarity. This balance is reflected in both small and significant actions: how a conflict is resolved, how care is given, how true intimacy is built. Many relationships fail because one or both partners expect the other to fulfill a role unconsciously assigned. The man who demands that the woman take care of all emotional matters because he is disconnected from his sensitive side, or the woman who projects on her partner all the strength and decisiveness because she does not acknowledge her own inner power. These dynamics create dependency, frustration, and ultimately, distance. But when someone truly loves, they begin the process of integration within themselves. They do not transfer the responsibility of carrying rejected parts of themselves onto the other. This inner work requires awareness. It demands that a person examines their cultural conditioning, their beliefs about what it means to be a man or be a woman, and questions these internalized models. Jung maintained that the encounter with the anima or animus occurs in the unconscious, typically through dreams, fantasies, or conflicts in relationships. Therefore, when a relationship challenges us, it can be a call from the unconscious to integrate aspects of ourselves that still live in the other. The person who truly loves you understands this call. They do not flee from the pain the relationship brings, because they know that this pain is actually a sign that something needs to be reintegrated within themselves. And with that, love ceases to be an escape and transforms into a path of healing and expanded consciousness. This kind of love is rare because it demands constant inner work. It isn't enough just to feel love, it must be sustained with maturity, presence, and balance. The person who has achieved this psychic integration knows how to respect both their own limits and those of the other. They know how to be vulnerable without losing their strength. They know how to care without self-annihilation. And that makes them a safe emotional harbor, someone with whom something solid can be built even amid life's uncertainties. Balancing the inner masculine and feminine is also a way to free the other from the obligation of meeting unrealistic standards. Those who have recognized the tenderness within themselves do not demand that the other always be sensitive. Those who have tapped into their own strength do not insist that the other is always in control. This mutual freedom allows both to reveal their authentic selves without fear of judgment or rejection. Loving with awareness is a revolutionary act. It breaks with centuries of relationships founded on domination, projection, and the avoidance of self. It is, as Jung would say, a reunion with wholeness. When someone truly loves you, that love arises from the communion between integrated internal forces, and that is why it sustains, transforms, and elevates. True love isn't made solely of sweet words, promises, or grand gestures. It is forged in the small acts of inner courage, when someone chooses to confront their shadow, dismantle their projections, grow alongside you, and balance their internal forces to love with consciousness. These are the signs of someone who truly loves you, not because they need you to complete them, but because they recognize in you a fellow traveler on the deepest journey of all, the return to oneself. To love truly is to see and be seen. It is to respect the mystery of the other without trying to control them. It is to support expansion, even when it challenges one's comfort zone. And above all, it is to cultivate a lucid presence that turns every encounter into an opportunity for healing. If this message has touched you in any way, subscribe to the channel and share this video with anyone who needs to hear these words. Leave a comment below saying, "I choose to love with awareness." And don't forget to watch the video appearing on your screen now. It will take you even deeper on this journey of self-knowledge and transformation.